I'm afraid if one of my sons went rogue like this with his wife and spent years trashing my family in public in the way that they've done, causing immeasurable damage at a time when Philip died, the Queen died, Charles has cancer, Kate has cancer, they wouldn't get 1 second of my time.
They would, and let me tell you why.
No, they wouldn't.
And let me tell you why they would.
Well, you can't tell me what I think.
Because time...
Sorry, with respect,
well,
you can't tell me what I would do.
I'm
telling you, they would get zero time.
I'm going to give you the opportunity to change your mind.
Go on, then.
And that's the important lesson here.
Good luck with that.
Because we saw this with King Charles when he was Prince Charles, and the fallout from his divorce with Diana. We saw them both sell their stories. First of all, behind a veil, telling us that it was through the voice of others and had nothing to do with them. You know that what I'm saying at the very bottom level, at the foundation level, is we've been here before.
Actually, we haven't been here before.
This family have sold stories about each other before.
You're missing the point.
What is important now is that we learn to move forward.
How?
And we have seen how Prince Harry and Meghan have moved forward, and they've done so brilliantly.
You loved it.
Impressively.
Yeah.
And quite frankly, in a very statesman-like way.
Can we be honest?
And I think that the issue here is not actually that you're unhappy that they've done this. What you're unhappy about is that they've done it so well.
No, they've deserted their family, and now they're setting up a rival thing for one reason. Nothing else they've done commercially has been working recently. Right, so now they're playing. Actually, we're royals again.
Incredibly
we're
well.
royals again. Card.
Remember, Spare was the #1 bestseller in the UK.
I said recently.
It was the #1 bestseller on Amazon.
Recently.
I think
Archwell
what we need
is doing well. It's a charitable foundation.
Hang on. What we need actually is like.
Piers Morgan has done it again. There he was on his show, puffing up his chest like the self-appointed gatekeeper of royal morality, wagging his finger at Prince Harry as if the Duke of Sussex had personally offended the Queen's corgis. It was the classic Piers performance, dramatic, loud and dripping with self-righteousness. But sitting across from him were Paula Rhone-Adrian and Dr. Tessa Dunlop, two women who clearly hadn't come to play. They came armed with intelligence, calm composure, and the kind of sharp truth that no amount of shouting could drown out. Because when Piers shouted that tired, overused line, "If Harry were my son and went rogue like that, trashing his family, he'd get zero time from me," Paula didn't even blink. She looked at him with that calm, knowing expression that said everything without needing to raise her voice. You could almost hear her thinking, "Really, Piers, you, talking about loyalty." It was the kind of moment that could silence an entire studio. Paula wasn't there to match his volume. She was there to dismantle his argument with facts and perspective, and she did it so effortlessly that it left Piers looking like a man who'd just realised he brought a butter knife to a sword fight. Let's be honest, that moment was pure television gold. Paula Rhone-Adrian, calm but cutting, reminded everyone that Harry hadn't done anything the royal family hadn't already done themselves. And she was right. She dropped truth bombs with the precision of a royal historian. King Charles and Princess Diana sold stories long before Harry wrote Spare. That statement alone cut through Piers's outrage like a blade through silk. The irony was too thick to ignore. The same institution that once cooperated with journalists, arranged carefully staged interviews, and leaked selective information, was now accusing Harry of betrayal for doing the very thing they'd been doing for decades, except Harry did it on his own terms. You could almost see Piers's jaw tighten, his face flicker with that mix of disbelief and irritation he gets whenever he realises he's been out-argued. That was the look of a man realising his talking points had just been politely obliterated. Paula had made her case, clean, composed and undeniable, and she didn't even need to shout. Now let's unpack that moment, because Paula wasn't just defending Harry and Meghan, she was defending logic, fairness and historical accuracy. When Piers accused the couple of, soaking up all the attention while other members of the royal family were too ill to work, Paula calmly brought reality back to the conversation. She refused to let the narrative become another guilt trip or pity party for the royals, who conveniently hide behind illness whenever criticism starts flying. What she essentially said was this: if we're going to talk about publicity, let's talk about all of it, not just the bits that fit the royal PR agenda. Because honestly, long before Harry and Meghan ever sat down with Oprah or spoke to Netflix cameras, the palace machine was leaking, spinning, and briefing stories to keep their image shiny and their scapegoats in place. We all remember the sources close to the palace era, when every tabloid headline seemed to mysteriously appear with insider details about royal feuds, fashion mishaps, or private family disputes. It didn't start with Harry and Meghan, and Paula made sure everyone remembered that. King Charles himself, back when he was Prince of Wales, admitted to cooperating with journalist Jonathan Dimbleby for that infamous tell-all interview where he spoke openly about his marriage to Diana. Princess Diana also gave her own side to the BBC's Panorama, breaking decades of silence. So, when Harry writes his own truth in his memoir Spare, suddenly it's trashing the family? Please, the hypocrisy practically writes itself. And let's talk about Spare for a second, because that book didn't just ruffle feathers. It set records. It became the #1 selling book in the United Kingdom, flying off shelves faster than any royal biography before it. You can't call something like that irrelevant. That's the public speaking. That's millions of people saying, we want to hear Harry's story. And Paula highlighted that beautifully. She reminded everyone that Harry's words resonated, because for once, the story wasn't filtered through palace PR or anonymous aides. It came straight from him, unfiltered, unedited, and emotionally raw. And the thing is, Spare wasn't revenge. It was release. It was therapy in print. For the first time in his life, Harry got to tell the world what it's like to grow up in a golden cage, to lose his mother in the most public and traumatic way imaginable, and to then spend decades being used as a human shield whenever the royal PR machine needed a distraction. He wrote it with honesty, and yes, with pain. But that pain was real. So when Piers sneered, "If he were my son, I'd give him 0 time," it actually revealed more about Piers than about Harry. Because, you know, real fathers, real families, they don't disown their children for speaking truth. They don't punish honesty. They embrace it. And let's just take a second to enjoy the comedy in all this. Piers Morgan talking about attention is like a seagull complaining about noise at the beach. The man has made a career out of chasing the same headlines he accuses Harry and Meghan of soaking up. He's the one dissecting every single photo of Meghan's smile, every outfit she wears, every blink Harry makes. Yet he has the nerve to accuse them of seeking attention. Oh, the irony. It's almost poetic. You could tell Paula and Tessa were both thinking the same thing. This man wakes up, logs into X, types Harry Meghan, and starts tweeting like his keyboard owes him rent. And the funniest part, Piers doesn't even see it. He's so blinded by his obsession that he's become the very thing he criticizes. If irony could talk, it would probably roll its eyes and walk off that set. But credit where it's due, Tessa Dunlop deserves her flowers too. She jumped in with that signature calm, historian's tone, cutting through Piers's bluster with reason and empathy. She pointed out that Harry's openness about therapy, trauma, and mental health isn't weakness, it's strength. Yet Piers, as usual, mocked it, as if vulnerability was some kind of royal crime. That's what made Tessa and Paula's defense so powerful. They weren't just arguing for Harry and Meghan, they were standing up for anyone who's ever been punished for speaking up against power, anyone who's ever dared to say, "This isn't okay." Harry didn't trash his family. He told his truth after years of being silenced, scapegoated, and turned into the villain of a royal soap opera. When he said, "Silence is betrayal," he meant it. And when Meghan said, "You don't have to love me, but you have to hear me," she was speaking for millions of people who've been misjudged without ever being heard. Paula understood that this isn't just about royalty, it's about humanity. It's about the courage to speak when silence benefits the powerful. Harry and Meghan aren't attention seekers. They're truth-tellers who refuse to be controlled by a system that thrives on silence and fear. Paula was absolutely right. They're not the first royals to speak out, but they are the first to do it with authenticity, courage, and compassion.